In real estate, as a homeowner or as a real estate investor, you must buy real estate now and then eventually upgrade real estate. Right? That's how it works. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. That's a good one to write down. So, don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. Right? My wealth. Everybody, has anybody heard that the wealthiest people in the country own real estate? 90% of the wealth is held in real estate. The average homeowner has a net worth of $250,000, whereas the average renter has a net worth of $6,000. Right? So right now, I assume everybody in the room is a renter at present. Right? There's nothing wrong with renting because it is a phase of life you have to have. Right? You're either living at home or you're renting. One way to get your freedom from home is to go and rent. If you're not financially there, it makes sense to do it. But the goal, if you want to eventually be able to retire and have a nice life in the end of your life, is to have some sort of money saved up. And real estate is a really good method to do that. Right? So the average homeowner is a net worth of $250,000, whereas the average renter at the same age is $6,000. Right? So those are good numbers to have in your head. And that's one of the reasons you want to buy. And the sooner you buy, the sooner you get to the higher net worth, the sooner you get to that money in your property. So, taking action when you're in a property, how do you know, is this the house? Does anybody have guessed, like, an idea of some of the things you're looking for in a property? Ishmael, what are you looking for? One thing that's important to you. We'll go around the room.
Square footage.
Square footage. So what is the number? How much square footage are you looking for?
Well, it's, right now, I don't have.
This is what we go through.
I don't have a specific number because I know, like, let's say if I'm buying a single family, I'm looking for at least 4 bedrooms.
You want 4 bedroom?
Yeah.
Well, what if the 4 bedrooms are in a 1,000 square foot house? This is 1,000 square feet right here.
That's gonna be way too small.
All right.
It's way too small.
So you've got to get an idea of what that looks like, right? Because then how is an agent going to take you through into the right properties? If you get into a few wrong properties, you might be like, oh man, this is not enjoyable anymore, right? So you've got to do it when it makes sense for you. And if you're seeing a whole bunch of properties, the one that you want could be sold if you're not there at the right time, right? So you've got to be looking for the right one at the right time and not be in the wrong houses. You want to be in the right house. So you've got to get very clear about the square footage. Maybe you want 2,000 square feet, that's double this. 4 bedrooms fit in that. A little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be significantly better. So what's something you look for?
Good area, location.
Location. Very key, and you know exactly where you want to be, next to the Sylvia School.
Well, for one family. But I want to do investment as well, first.
So that'd be the first one.
Yeah, so I know that I need like a BC area, and that's probably an A area.
Right.
Yeah,
it's an A.
Yes,
That's
I
like an A+.
Yeah.
So yes, so you want to get in. So you want to start with a multi.
Yeah.
Now, ultimately, goal is single family.
Yeah.
But you want to get a multi to pay for said single family, right?
Yeah.
And I know Jason's on board with that. All right. So that piece, what is important to that 3 family first?
That would be also be location because I feel like that would also bring in good quality.
Correct. Okay. So location's important to you guys. Now, size of the building wasn't really a factor.
Yeah. I know it would be. Yeah.
Okay.
Because right, kids. So definitely a 3 bedroom.
Okay. Very good. So size of the building, again. 3 bedroom, again. And how about, would you live on the first, second, third floor?
I would be on first.
First.
And then just would be.
So when it comes to negotiations, that's something I know I have to do. I have to make sure she's getting into that first floor, right? So how about yourself, Rebecca?
For us, it's about the school system
Okay.
for the kids. There's not a lot of good elementaries and middle schools in Fall River.
Right.
So probably this area, like we like living over here. And probably just a fenced-in backyard so the kids can run around and, you know, we're not worrying about them getting run over by somebody or something like that.
Very good. So fenced-in backyard, and you want to be in a decent neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right. And school, do you know which school system is important to you?
Well, we go to Tansy now, and we love Tansy.
So you want to stay in the Tansy area.
Yeah.
So these are, you're dialing in your house, square footage wise. Do you have an idea? So, no idea.
Just enough for us, you know, we're not picky people, we just want somewhere to call our own.
So the unit you have is about the same square foot as this, it's about 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, it doesn't bother us.
So you're fine.
Yeah.
So literally you'd be fine with that size, just yard, fenced in yard.
Yeah.
So you can let the kids run around and they're safe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and the house has to be there too. Yeah. So we'll make sure we have that piece in. It's not just the yard, the fence. Sorry, guys. Very good. So that's very clear. You know what you want, and then it's a matter of does the price line up, and then where does that put us, and then you identify. So very simple to shop for. Very good.
We're not picky.
Clarity. Well, not being picky, you are picky. You know exactly what you want, right? You know you want the fenced in yard. You know you want a certain location. The square footage, being flexible on that means that wherever your price range comes in, you're going to get something. So being flexible on square footage helps you on the price side. So you're clear. You just want as much as you possibly can per dollar, right? You're like, oh, well, if I could afford that, then yes, give me a couple more. But if I can't, I'm okay with it. That's a good sign of a good, clear buyer who's willing to be flexible. So that's very good. Rachel?
I want to buy a house at a discount.
Rachel?
That's, you know, I want to buy a house at a discount. I don't want to buy at market rate. I can't make money if I'm buying at market rate.
Correct.
I want 20 to 25,000 per door.
Mm-hmm.
I want 4 family.
20 to 25,000 per door, like cost per door.
Yeah.
So you're going to do a lot of renovation. We had this conversation the other day. There's going to be a lot of renovation for a 3-family at 60 to 75,000. Probably too much for an FHA loan. So financially, you'd have to push, unless you're in Springfield, which Springfield, those prices do exist. But in Fall River, you're probably going to have to push up to about 120. So you're probably looking at closer to 40,000 per unit. And then rehab will probably bring you up to about 55,000 per unit. So just realistic numbers, just so you're aware of the market. But I love your strategy. And yes, the only way to do it is a rehab loan, which we talked about the other day. Which Dave, very good at doing rehab loans. Yeah. So she's looking at doing an FHA 203K loan.
203K.
Yep. So your strategy, so the pricing piece per door, we'll lock it in somewhere around 40, 45 because that's what's possible. The under that, even I haven't bought them that way, and I would love to buy them that way. So, but very good. What else is important in the unit?
3 family, 4 family, C neighborhood.
Yep.
And at least a 10% cash on cash return, because anything lower I can get in the stock market.
You'll probably be closer to 36% cash on cash return. That with those numbers, you're way higher. Yeah, I agree with you. We won't look at anything that's less than 25% cash on cash. And for anybody who's not an investor, hasn't had that conversation before, cash on cash return for renters, for landlords, means you bought the building, all your expenses are about $2,000 a month. You put in maybe $10,000 to buy the building. Your cash on cash return, if you're making $1,000 a month, is about 100% return on investment, right? Because you put in $10,000 to buy it, and every year you're getting another $10,000 in. So you're somewhere around that 100% cash on cash return, right? So that's what we talk about. And if your building's making only $500, now you're at a 50% cash on cash return. So it's one of those pieces with an FHA loan when you're only putting like 3.5% down. Your cash on cash return it's huge. I got a building I bought that way. It's like 150%, right? Yeah, I make my money back like 1.5 times every year. Because I put so little down into it. Now, as like me and Ron have started buying, we're around the 36% because you have to put 25% down. We can't play the owner-occupied game anymore. Although we did just sell a few of our buildings, and we can. So he's gonna go buy a VA loan. I'm gonna go buy an FHA. Move into it. Dave, heads up.
Yeah. Carlos filled in my mail now.
I own nothing in my name anymore. We're back just the LLCs. So. And that's something that, the young investors, you want to hear that. You want to know that you're not just locked by the FHA one time. If you refinance or you sell that property, you can keep going with it. I've bought, at this point, 4 houses FHA, myself, personally. So it is possible to buy them with 3.5% down every time. I only 5% it on one, but that's just so I can fit into a different product, right? So what was that? We got music today?
Sorry.
It's okay. You've got 3 children, Rebecca. We get it. So, does anybody have questions on how what you want dictates the price and location? Or does it kind of makes sense, like what you get for what your desire is and what you're looking for? And why you have to be clear. If she said that she wanted to get $70,000 per unit, she's like a totally different buyer than if she says, look, they've got to be this particular way. Now I know I'm showing her dumps, right? I know I'm taking her in. She's going to spend a $30,000 budget because she's going FHA. on repairing things. I know I can't bring her too low. I can't bring her to the stuff that I could buy, but I have to get her somewhere in the middle ground where she can afford it and she can make that money she's looking to make, right? And then for yourself, I know the same exact thing. I know, look, it's just got to be a really decent location. It's got to be 3 bedrooms. It's got to be safe. And, you know, as long as I got the first floor, I'm happy. I'm not doing no stairs, right? For Rebecca, I know she doesn't really care about square footage. What she cares about is location, fencing. She wants to, you know, the kids have to run around. I know her daughter wants to make sure there's a house on the property. So, there's the key points, the key components to working the sale, right? If I don't pay attention to the house on the property, I'm probably not going to be able to help them out too much. Then Ishmael's looking for that nice, he's not 100% sure how many units he wants in there, but it's going to be close to the highway, it's going to be a safe location, 4 bedrooms, probably closer to the 2,000 square feet, not no tiny little 1,000 square foot house, right?
My 2 kids would just run through that.
See? I don't mind. I've lived in 400 square foot apartments, 600, like it's whatever to me. But everybody has a threshold, and once you get to it, it's tough to go backwards. You're like, I'm not going. I gotta have room for all my couches. All right. So that piece is very important. Now, once you've gotten into a property, you've identified. First thing I have all my buyers do before you call me or call one of our agents and say, hey, yeah, I want to see this house. Drive by it. Right? Make sure the neighborhood is safe. Make sure you like the neighborhood. Make sure you get down there and there's not like a whole bunch of people hanging out on the house next door smoking and making you feel uncomfortable. Right?
Drive at night,
drive by at night. Yep, you get a good vibe of people who live there. So it's very important that you drive by the neighborhood before calling one of us and setting up the appointment. Because sometimes we show up, and normal, and any of the agents here will have seen this. You show up to the property and you're like, let's go in. Yeah, we don't need to. I just don't like this neighborhood. I'm not feeling it. It's like, well, why don't you drive by it first before we called them up, before we got them and their dog out of the house, before we got all their kids out of the house, and, you know, try to schedule all this. Let's have some respect for the people who own these properties right now. You know, but I get it, you know, fine. Just make sure you drive by, right? Because it's very key to the neighborhood. And don't just, you know, casually drive by the house and say you did it. I mean, definitely don't do this. The Google drive-by, that doesn't count. I've had so many investors, like, they live in Boston, and they're like, yeah, no, I drove by it. You Google drove by it.
Yeah.
I know you didn't actually drive by the property. So please, take a trip down here, drive by all 15 houses you're trying to get me to see, check the neighborhoods, and then I'll go and I'll get you in.
I've had customers stake the houses out.
Oh yeah, we've had
Just
that.
park outside with detectives.
Black Friday at Best Buy.
Yeah.
Put your tent out.
Yeah.
But that's that little recon you want. You want to know what you're getting into, and you want to know about a neighborhood. If there's a convenience store there, keep an eye on that activity. Just show up for 15 minutes just to see. You know, is this something that you want to be next to, and how's this going to affect you? So keys that snuck up on me in investments that I've purchased were railroad tracks. Railroad tracks mean trains, freight trains. Coming through in Taunton, there's a railroad. I bought about a block away from a railroad. And so every so often, I hear ding, 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 ding. It's so annoying. So did not affect me like I'm going to move out of here, but I did move out of there at some point. So those elements exist. I've been to homes where I go and I look out the kitchen window and none of the other windows had shades on them. Right? Very weird stuff. None of the other windows had shades, but this kitchen window had this really sweet looking shade. I couldn't see through it. I'm just curious. So I open the window and I look, and there's a car coming right at me, and then swerving, and then coming at me and then swerving. It was an off-ramp right over at, you know where they put the new casino, that exit over there?
Oh, yeah.
So there's a house in that little area, and I'm like, this is freaky as hell. Like, any night, you're just going to see lights coming at you. Yeah, I mean, it's a gamble, right? At some point, that's not going to work, right? In the snow, or it's just and then as soon as we open the deck, you can hear like the road noise. So those are pieces you can't tell unless you show up to the property, and sometimes you can't tell literally until you're in the property and you get in there, and now you start seeing the views, and you see. I've had houses where beautiful house in the front, everything looks great, and then you go into the back and there's literally a neighbor right in your backyard, right? But you couldn't tell from the front, you just didn't know, or there's a cliff back there and there was really no way to know. Understandable, right? they're anomalies. They're not common, but it's just something that like you have to get into the property before you make a decision. There's a handful of investors out there who do like to buy houses sight unseen. It's extremely risky. I've done it. I've never done it, but I've put in offers without actually seeing the house that day. But I'd seen it a year ago. But that's the only time I would say it kind of makes sense if you've been in the property. But even then, you've got to get in. Like in a year, pipes go missing, furnaces go missing. Damage can just occur if a bad tenant was in the building, or if the house was foreclosed. In your situation, you'll have to be very careful when we're looking at things, because one mistake can be very expensive. So that is that's kind of concludes the piece on how to get the money. That concludes the piece on location, how to identify what you're looking to purchase. The next piece we're going to go to is the home inspection piece, how that whole process works, and then the paperwork piece. So before we jump into that, if you guys want to have some donuts, some refreshments, everyone want to take a little break? Break, go ahead. Yeah. So far so good? Yeah? Learning? Good.
Learning.
All right, very
I
good.
like the shirt, Tracy.
Oh, so.
I want to see myself on Snapchat after this one. I feel like it's not.
Yeah.
It'd be bad if we went out last night all together.
Here you go, honey.
Yeah.
I think we all went
all
out,
out last
I think we
night.
all went out separately. Yeah. I texted you this morning. Should I still go?
So, any plans?
Yeah.
Only second my brain.
I know, I like 210.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how Scotty's. Scotty was there, so we're talking. Real estate Stu shows up.
I still don't think.
I was gonna go to Central Home. Mickey Doyle.
We almost went down. How was it? The agents, say, one of the agents, second in, and then I'll say which agent. So he's kind of pan. Yeah.
Okay. What else you do the website? Nothing's going through.
Yeah. There we go. All the stuff going.
Nothing's going.
Yeah. We got so many angles. So you're gonna be ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, yeah, I went in the hot tub early this morning. Really? Yeah. I should sit down and coffee.
It's like everything used to be outskirts of the city.
Of course.
Do you know Ellsworth Street?
You're better than that.
It's like the Ellsworth. It's a beautiful neighborhood. Yeah, I'm gonna be showing it at probably early February. Yeah.
Did you get value out of
You
this today?
would love this house.
You're enjoying it?
When I took you to the house meeting, you're like, yeah, just pay other people to do the work and I come by here and
What it is?
take a video and get out.
Let me tell
It's so funny because the whole thing's about location. And I'm gonna come on and be like, you know, location's so important. I'm like, yeah, I'll be like, it's not insurance.
That's right. Except for that whole water thing. I got called yesterday. I got flood insurance on building 3200.
Sure, you will want it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the good thing about Florida, it's never good. But the only positive thing is you only have to insure it for the long run. That's the only thing that makes it. But otherwise, you have to replacement costs like a homeowner's.
So you go home.
I could care less what the loan amount is. I need to insure the replacement cost. But flood, that's how we can kind of undercut floods. Private flood's nice. I don't want to confuse you when I get into all that.
Awesome.
2 minutes.
Acting in this, and is he gonna want to put me in his next movie?
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
Now, I'm kind of the first time
Next
ever
movie. All right, we're gonna come back together.
I'm probably gonna go single.
Assuming because attorneys work 9 to 5, if that, and they're like baker's hours, and then they're done. So if they take vacation for 2 weeks at a time, because these guys are balling and like they're always on vacation, sometimes it's hard to get them all coordinated with each other. So the closing date pushes at the end. It just is what it is. But once we get you in, it's a celebration. It's a party. One of the main pieces I want to talk about, I usually talk about at the beginning, is the value of home ownership. If you don't pay your rent, how long before you're getting away with that? Right? Anybody got a guess? Like 2 months, 3 months? Right. Like, well, in Vegas, it's definitely 2 weeks, for sure. Out.
Where you stayed?
Yeah. Yeah. No, seriously. In Vegas, there is
We're
no
going back,
tenant
we're
law.
going back this winter, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Going back there in April.
See that?
So, you have to make sure that you're paying your rent all the time. If you don't pay on your house, it takes like a year, 2 years for them to foreclose. If you see them a year, year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, depending on if there's any title issues, I've seen years, 5,
Years,
6, 7 years.
years.
If you have a good attorney.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll keep you in the house.
That's right.
Many years.
And a good attorney could protect you, right? So I'm not saying, like, condoning not paying a mortgage, right? I pay all my mortgage, that's why I keep buying houses. The bank loves that. But if you're in a situation where, you know, you or your spouse isn't able to work for 2 or 3 months, you might not be able to pay. If you're renting, your landlord's kicking you out, and now you're in a bad situation. If you own your house, you don't pay your bank for 2 or 3 months, they have to put a plan together. Like, you got a mortgage. They'll put a plan together and say, okay, can you start making these payments and catch up? Right? They will do that with you because foreclosing takes them so long. It takes them years to foreclose. So you could go and, you know, be in hard times for 6 months, but then get your job and start bringing everything back. Maybe your credit hurts a little bit, but you have a place to live, right? You have your house. You can't be kicked out of your home. And the attorney will put something together called the Homestead Act, which protects your assets. If you ever get sued, they can't take your home from you, right? So it's worth the $100 or whatever it costs to put that piece of paper together. But say you have a business or, you know, get in a car accident and the insurance company's coming after all your assets, they can't take your home. So home ownership it's the key. It really is a key to building wealth, building stability, making sure that you have a place to live if hard times come. And with a landlord, you tell a landlord, right? Oh, I'm going to pay you $200 or $300 less every month for the next 2 or 3 months until I get back on track. The landlord's going to laugh at you. They're like, no, like, I'm sorry, that doesn't work. You tell the bank you're gonna continue to make payments. They're gonna be a little smaller for the next few months. The bank's like, okay, do what you got to do, right? Yeah, they can't foreclose. It takes years for them to foreclose. So they're like, well, as long as you're making payments, we're still in the game. We're still playing, and that's okay. So home ownership protects you on so many levels. And then obviously, like, Rebecca's one of my tenants. If she wants to paint, she has to ask. If you want to paint, if you own your home, you're like, dude, I'm putting pink on all the walls. Like, I know, that would not be your taste.
No.
But you would be like, look, I'm sick of this boring color. I want that, you know, either the gray or the brown, and it's got to look nice, and everything's going to be the way I want. And then you can go fix the floors. You can, you know, if you want to have Jason go and install flooring for you, you're going to get handy, right? Get good at it, bro.
Right.
Yeah. You already know. But that's how it works. Like, you can do little renovations and you can improve where you live. Like, I've had tenants ask me, can I do the floors? I'm like, no. Like, I don't know if you know how to do the floors. Like, it doesn't make sense because it terrifies me because now I gotta go back to Rick and be like, yo, there's a tenant. He's gonna love this. There's a tenant doing renovations in my building. Is that cool with you, bro?
You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
I don't know what you said.
Yeah.
I'm in a bad area. So.
That's all liability,
Yep.
right? But as a homeowner, dude, knock it out. Like, learn on your own dime. Like, figure it out. Make your house a nicer place. So that is that's a lot of the reasons I love home ownership. That's why I coach it. I believe in it. I teach it. There's one thing I've always said, and all my mentors say, is, look, don't sell a product you don't believe in. You know, I've owned 15 of these things, still going. I still own about 9 of them, right? They work, I assure you. If you're an investor, giving people a place to live, like, do it. Like, people need a place. You're all renting right now? You need a place to live. It's important, right? It's a service that you provide. And the government loves that we do it. The government literally gives you tax benefits for investing. They charge you less on the income, and they let you defer a lot of the expenses that you put into the building. And then even the fact that the building goes down in value, they depreciate the building over time. So that's money that if you were making $30,000 a year, and the depreciation, like on this building, this depreciation is about $4,000 a year. The government only taxes me on $26,000, right? So you wouldn't be taxed on the full amount that you're making. It saves you in so many different levels by being an investor. Your actual home, like the single family you own, they don't do that because it's not an income property. You're not an investor. You're not giving back to the community. So they don't protect you in that piece. But as investors, they do protect you, and they really want to see you do well. They want to see you continue to buy more. Because unfortunately, a lot of people are terrified of having tenants. There's a lot of people out there who don't want to put a person in their building because they're afraid of what might happen, right? And Rebecca knows that I have a tenant right now in one of the buildings she lives in, and it's one of the reasons that I'm like, I get why people can be afraid of tenants. Yeah, we've got a guy who's terrorizing the building, but he's almost out. And once he's out, we go in, we renovate, we improve, and I put a good quality person like Rebecca, you know, with a family who's gonna, you know, continue to make the property and community better. It's our responsibility to remove the garbage, right? It's our responsibility to clean up neighborhoods. As a homeowner, as a landlord, you do a lot in the community. You know, it's just your moral, ethical duty, right? To make sure the community is a little bit better because you showed up, because you were there. So. What is it? Tax advantages? What are they?
Tax advantages?
Yeah.
If you
What is
own
it
a
called?
house,
Wrap it up.
compared to renting, if you
Oh,
own a house.
it's fine if that dies.
Yeah, I know, but I want you
We're
to
good.
have like an actual ending for the
Uh,
video.
When you have a choice, always work with the best.
Okay.
I'm in the picture, that works out great.
Oh,
Also,
okay.
something I didn't mention either.
Yeah. I'm just going to say to the camera, well, I'm going to say it, and you guys just smile, so looking good. I want to thank everybody for coming out to the Home Buyer Seminar. This was a very valuable event. I hope everybody got a lot of information. When you have a choice, always work with the best. There it is. Oh, nice. Very good. Thank you guys.